Honorable Deputy Chair of the National Council of Provinces, members of the Executive, Chairperson of the Select Committee on Security and Justice, Honorable Shaida Sheikh, honorable members of the Select Committee of Security and Justice, honorable members of the National Council of Provinces, ladies and gentlemen, honorable members, apart from departmental functions, the ministry is also responsible for other entities that are vital for the smooth running of the state. Home Affairs is responsible for the IEC and the government printing works. But in recent days, a new baby arrived on the block, the Border Management Authority, which was established as a branch incubated in the Department of Home Affairs since 2020, when the President assented to the Border Management Authority Act. Today is the first budget speech since the BMA became a standalone autonomous Schedule 3A entity from the 1st of April 2023. This entity is solely responsible for the management of our borders and our ports of entry, land, sea, and air. Since its autonomous status was attained, the BMA has transferred 1,850 employees from the Departments of Health, Agriculture and Land Affairs, Environment and Fisheries, and Immigration offices from the Department of Home Affairs. This was done in terms of Section 37 of the BMA Act. Despite some teething problems, the Border Management Authority continued to stand on its feet. The commissioner, who was appointed on the 1st of November 2021 and joined by 2 deputy commissioners, has been hard at work to stabilize things at our borders and ports of entry. In July 2022, the BMA started to deploy border guards, and 200 of them were deployed exactly on July 14, 2022. They've been issued with certificates as a third law enforcement agency of the country after the army and the police. The only difference is that they are confined to the borders. The border guards have been deployed as follows: 40 at Beit Bridge to deal with illegal migration and movement of illicit goods, 22 deployed in Giriondo in the Kruger National Park to address poaching across the borders, 39 deployed at Libombo to deal with various forms of smuggling, 33 deployed at Oshhoek to deal with stock theft, 33 deployed in northern KwaZulu-Natal at Kosi Bay to deal with the smuggling of stolen vehicles into Mozambique, and 33 deployed at Maseru Bridge and Fixback to deal with illegal migration. Recently, another group of 21 border guards has been specifically recruited and deployed at the KwaZulu-Natal Lesotho border, as well as the Eastern Cape Lesotho border, to deal with problems of stock theft. Since their deployment, the border guards were able to intercept over 35,944 people who were attempting to enter the country illegally. Further, the border guards were able to detect 139 stolen vehicles, which were intended to cross the border. About 95,217 undesirable people were denied entry into the country due to various reasons. Since July 2022, the border guards have arrested about 1,651 suspects who for breaking various border laws across the land, air, and sea ports of entry. Presently, the BMA is in the process of recruiting a further 400 border guards. Honorable Chairperson, last week, the BMA met with the Development Bank of Southern Africa. The Minister of Finance has given a go-ahead for the Border Management Authority to issue requests for proposals to start a massive project to completely redesign and redevelop our 6 busiest ports of entry. This will be a huge infrastructural and technological injection into the management of our borders. This project will cover the Beit Bridge border post between Limpopo and Zimbabwe, the Lebombo border post between Mpumalanga and Mozambique, the Oshoek border post between Mpumalanga and Eswatini, the Maseru Bridge border post between Free State and Lesotho, Fixback border post between Free State and Lesotho, and the Kopfontein border post between Northwest and Botswana. This project will be a multi-billion rand project between the state and the private sector in the form of a PPP. Its actual cost will be known after the bidding process has been completed. The project will breathe life into the much vaunted Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. On its completion, these 6 busiest ports of entry will never look the same again. We hope the DBSA, which will be the project manager and the main seat of the project, will finalize their plans in time to issue the request for proposals publicly early in July. Honorable Chairperson, we are looking forward to this massive project. Let me go to the Government Printing Works, another entity falling under Home Affairs. It is clear by now that the Government Printing Works is the biggest state security printer on the whole continent. It is one of the less talked about state entities, which is self-financing and which is financially sustainable. Not only that, but it actually sends lots of profits to the treasury, which gets deposited into the fiscus. In the financial year that ended March this year, the Government Printing Works made a profit of 222 million rand, which is a marked improvement from the previous financial years. This shows that the Government Printing Works is on course to the pre-COVID days when it could easily make a profit of more than R500 million. It is my pleasure to announce that the GPW has concluded memoranda of understanding with some SADC countries, and these are being implemented. As a result of the memoranda of understanding, the Government Printing Works had processed the first order of more than 300,000 birth certificates for Namibia, and 100,000 of them have already been delivered to Windhoek. The Government Printing Works is now printing secured vocational certificates for the University of Eswatini and its affiliated vocational colleges. The said foreign orders will add further impetus for the financial viability of the Government Printing Works. And the Government Printing Works then need to increase its capacity. To this end, the Government Printing Works has also engaged the Development Bank of Southern Africa, the DBSA, to build additional factory space for extra machinery. This new project will cost 1.1 billion rand. We are eagerly looking forward for its completion because it has already started. With all this progress, however, Chair, the Select Committee on Security and Justice may recall that I've had to appoint an advisory panel to investigate inter alia the collapse of the IT system within the Government Printing Works, which led to the loss of sensitive information. Information that management is hard at work implementing the recommendations made by the panel. No stone will be left unturned in the reconstruction process of the lost information. And whoever was attempting to sink the Government Printing Works in this manner will never succeed. I will now go to the IEC, another entity reporting to the Home Affairs Department. The IEC is also expanding its technical expertise beyond the borders of the country. Honorable members, a democracy is incapable of recreating itself. Otherwise, it will be destined to impermanence. Vibrant democracies are those capable of redefining the terms of political engagement and reformulating processes of political representation. Such redefining moments are also about responding to the pulse of the nation. The amended electoral system is not merely about the rules and formula of translating votes into seats in our legislative chambers. The revised electoral system is essentially about a nation redefining process of political mandates and accountability. Chair, I wish to take this opportunity to heartily thank the NCOP of the sterling role it played in shaping the amendment to the Electoral Act in order to allow independent candidate to participate in the provincial and electoral provincial election and national elections of a country. Chair, I think the NCOP deserve a pat on the shoulders for this sterling work. Because without your work, I don't think the bill will have been what it is today. Maybe let me move over to civic services. Honorable Chair, we are deeply concerned as a department about the perennial problem of system downtime, which we have been experiencing for a long time. It has now been aggravated by load shedding. And Chair, many people do not understand this. They believe we are scapegoating. The problem, Chair, with Home Affairs is that when there's load shedding, we completely grind to a halt. We simply cannot work. And it doesn't matter whether we've got generator or not, because many people are asking, why don't you put generators in all Home Affairs offices? Even if there are generators, if there's load shedding, Home Affairs won't work. Because Home Affairs depend on the towers of the mobile networks, which usually go off when there is load shedding. But SETA switches also go off. Now, in our relentless efforts to look for solutions, we have engaged the CSIR, the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. They are devising short-term and long-term solutions for us. We have already handed over 5 of our mayor offices to connect to the alternative networks rather than the SETA network, which is causing us so much problems. We are hopeful that this might be a solution seen to that all universities of the country are using the CSIR network. All the scientific researchers in the country, including the square kilometer array in the Northern Cape, are all connected to this, and they don't experience system downtown in the manner in which we are experiencing. We will soon compare the results of disconnected offices to see if they make any difference. Chairperson, you may remember that in the State of the Nation address 2 years ago, the President announced that the Department of Home Affairs will hire 10,000 unemployed graduates to digitize our records. Chair, we have got 350 million paper records that stretch back from 1895. These are records of birth, marriage, death, IDs, and passports for South Africans. Now you can imagine if there are paper records and you moved to look for a record that was in 1895. Some of them will fade away. Others may perish in one or the other. So the whole history of the country will have been lost. There are people who were able to claim their land back by going to our archives and making use of these records, which shows who is whose ancestor. So these are very, very important records. For that reason, we are very happy that Treasury has given us 2.4 billion rand over a period of 4 years to hire these unemployed graduates to digitize this record. The first cohort of 2,000 young men and women are already busy at work. Presently, as I'm speaking, Honorable Chair, we are busy interviewing the second cohort to take another 4,000 of them. And we will later recruit the last 4,000 to conclude 10,000. To date, the department has received 12 of the 20 high-volume scanners that were procured. Each scanner is capable of scanning 300 pages per minute. And our first scanner, which was installed in March this year, is able to scan 10,000 records in 3 hours. So we are quite happy that this digitization project will be successful. The records were digitized firstly by State South Africa, but State South Africa could only digitize 5 million records per annum. Now, if you have got 350 million records, you can imagine. And they don't stop at 350. They continue increasing every year. They increase by more than 1.2 billion babies who are born annually, or more than 1 billion youngsters who turn 16 every year to take IDs, or people who get married every year, or more than 350,000 people who die every year and need birth certificate. So it's a moving target. And if we don't get a once-off amount of money as Treasury has given us, we will never be able to finish this project. So for this reason, we are very grateful to the Treasury. The other project, which we are very proud of, is that throughout the ages, Home Affairs have been working with 100 mobile trucks to go into villages and give people IDs. We've just now added 20 new trucks. And as I'm speaking, Chairperson, I'm proud to mention that we've placed another order of 100 trucks that are, as I'm speaking, are being manufactured at the Isuzu unit and others units in Gqeberha. And we are waiting to receive those 100 extra trucks in this very same financial year. All of them come with inbuilt generators. But unfortunately, when we go to the villages, we still experience problems if there is load shedding. I am sure you are aware that we also announced that we are increasing another platform for Home Affairs by going into the malls, and we have already opened the state-of-the-art office at Menlyn Mall. We are continuing to all the other malls in Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal, and Western Cape to start with. Chair, finally, I wish to thank my colleagues, Deputy Minister of Home Affairs, Honorable Njabulo Nzuza, who is not here today because he has taken ill. I want to apologize for his absence. The DG of the Department of Home Affairs and his team, the CEO of the Government Printing Works, as well as the Commissioner of the Border Management Authority and his team for their very sterling work. Let me also not forget the chair of the IEC, Mr. Mosotho Moepya, and his CEO, Mr. Simon Mabolo. Chairperson, I can't stop thanking the Select Committee on Security and Justice, the chairperson, Honorable Sheikh, and members of your committee. I really won't stop thanking you. You might not realize it. If it was not for your sterling work, the Electoral Law Amendment Act, as I said, will not have been what it is today. Honorable Chair, I hereby table for the consideration of this Honorable House an amount of 10,863 million rand for budget vote number 5, the Department of Home Affairs. I thank you.